Knicks family, what's popping? It is your boy. I'm back in the building, man. And I don't know, you guys might not even have noticed it, but I was I was stuck doing some stuff, a project that I was working on, so I couldn't really get on. But I'm back and I'm able to get on, and I got my man Andy with me and Tony with me. And we're gonna go ahead and talk New York Knicks and break some stuff down. But I do want to remind you that at 7 o'clock tonight, we start that Cooking with Zay show. So make sure that you check that out. I also want to let you know that we got the 365 stream up and popping. 365 Knicks, 24/7 New York Knicks. A lot of old replay stuff. You got video up there of me busting Isaiah one-on-one. A lot of cool stuff up there. And, all of these shows, like this Knicks Weekly show, it'll be up there. Cooking with Zay, it'll be up there. It'll always be up there, so you can go up there and just talk and chat and all of that, man. So let's get over here and let's talk a little bit. Andy, Tony, what's popping with y'all, man? How you feeling?
Chilling, man. Excited. Almost draft time.
Yeah. Yo, we got like what? What we got? 9 days to the draft. I'm excited for that, man. I'm excited for it, without a doubt. But
with this, they're supposed to push forward the free agency. So
2 days before the draft. They're supposed to start it 2 days before the draft. So
2 days before the draft, free agency.
Yeah. And that actually, I think, screws the Knicks' plans, I think, because if they would wait, plenty of deals would happen on the draft night, right? Now, if it has to, start before, I'm guessing also the free agency that we have to decide, right, on those contracts like Ellington, Portis, and stuff like that. I'm guessing that date is, also due to 2 days before the draft, right? So we will have that leverage.
So here it is. That date is going to be, right, like you said, before the draft, before free agency. It has to be before free agency because you have to decide whether or not you're going to waive these guys so that they can be signed by another team.
Yeah.
Right. So it really does hurt the Knicks. It hampers the Knicks big time in the way that they can maneuver for the draft.
Yeah. It helps the other teams because they're going to know, okay, I'm going to be able to sign this guy in a free agency and then I'm going to draft this position, right? But for the Knicks, we had all those assets just to make the moves on the draft night, right? So
right.
For us, it's a little bit a Knicksing thing. Knicksing for the Knicks.
Yeah. Now I don't see this is because you can probably still make moves with your draft picks. The issue is that when you get in on draft night, things happen and people make last minute decisions and people make quick decisions, right? Because, of whatever's happening and whatever's going down, people say, well, I'm going to make this decision or that decision now. So the strategy is a little bit different. Now, I am one person who has, I've said, I don't mind free agency being before the draft. This year, it definitely hurts the Knicks. There's no doubt about it. I don't mind free agency being before the draft because I do feel like it helps you understand, like, if you know what your team looks like because you've spent this money or that money in free agency, now you understand how to draft, especially if you're a good team, right? If you're a good team and you went ahead, you did your things in free agency, now when you get to the draft, you can say, well, we just signed this player, that player, and that player. Now let's draft this guy because he fits into this. He fits into what we're going to try to do. You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely going to be less random, moves of the teams, right? So if you're a team that has a good GM in place for a longer time, you know what you lack on the roster. You know what you need, right? So you make this move and then draft this kind of guy. For the Knicks, we're carte blanche, right? We're an open book, so we can draft whatever position, just add a player here and there, and still we're gonna make be able to make moves. So For us, it would be better if there would be more random, mixed decisions and under pressure decisions for the rest of the teams at least.
Yeah.
Hey, Sim,
Yo.
has it been confirmed that these decisions have to be made before the draft? Because they had already changed those dates, and
Yeah,
I think they coincide. Like there's a window of where they can trade these players, and then the team they trade them to makes that decision. It's like a 2 day.
Yeah, Tony, but the NBPA asked for that if they're going to start the season on the 22nd. That was their ruling that they want the players to know what's going to happen before the draft night. So those vets don't sit around on draft night more nervous than the rookies. So they want to know what's going to be able to happen before the draft. I'm guessing agents already got the deals in places for most of the guys, right? Just making it to happen so there's less panic on the draft night. But
I think everything's going to happen draft night. I think that the Knicks are going to look to either move their 1-year deals or try to maybe unload some players like a Dennis Smith or a Knox if they really want to move up in the draft. I feel like the Knicks are going to make their moves in the draft because they're going to have all their pieces in play, and then decide how the draft falls to them and what they want to do. I think that's why they haven't made any moves so far.
So what I'm looking at right now, it says the NBA and the NBPA are planning to discuss the opening of free agency as quickly as possible after the November 18th draft.
I read it a couple. They wanted it to start at least 2 days before the draft, so that would be the 16th.
Why isn't free agency before the draft? I just don't understand that. It makes no sense to me.
But because they can't wait on a normal season, right? They have the draft on the 20th of June, right? And then on July they start the free agency period. So it goes all the way around. But this time the player association wants it,
It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, but I think they just don't have.
It should be the other way around.
Hold up, Nate.
Yeah, because there's not much time. They want it to happen on the 18th. It won't be a long period of time till the training camp starts on the 1st of December, right? So that's why every day, is really important for the guys.
So if they do the draft on the 18th, November the 18th, that's next Wednesday, and we are going to do a draft show next Wednesday. It'll be on Sportscaster. It'll be on 365 Knicks. It'll be on, obviously, this, it'll be in its own video. And probably Tuesday, we're going to do one last mock draft. All right, next Tuesday, the 17th. But why can't they do the draft on the 18th and then do free agency, the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd? I mean, it's you only got a week. You only got a week for those free agents to get in gear and get to their new team. You know what I'm saying? But
it's a mess, man. It's a mess.
I tell you what, next week is going to be great for all the bloggers and all the streamers. Next week is going to be out of this world. You know what I'm saying? All the bloggers, all the streamers is going to be out of this world because you're going to have the draft, and then you're either going to have free agency and then the draft, or you're going to have the draft and then free agency, and then you're going to be jumping right into training camp. It's going to be off the hook.
Yeah,
for everybody over the next few weeks, man.
Scenarios are going to be writing itself, bro.
So that's going to be pretty dope. That's going to be pretty dope, man. It's craziness. It's definitely craziness. But either way, man, if free agency does end up being before the draft, I think it will hurt the Knicks in the way that they can maneuver and things that they can do. If free agency ends up being after the draft, then it'll help the Knicks more. At least this season. It'll help the Knicks a little bit more this season because, they'll be able to use those players that they can waive during the draft because, trades go down during the draft. They'll be able to use those players, to maybe accumulate more draft picks during the draft. Whatever it is, I think it's more flexible for the Knicks if free agency is after the draft. If it's before the draft, it might, put a little bit of a clamp on what they can do.
It's got Sam. This is really important, bro. Because I don't know if all the fans realize this. If I'm a Bobby Portis or a Wayne Ellington, Elfrid Payton, right, and I have a deal like only penciled in for another team, right? I can't, as a player, make that team to wait, right? So I'm gonna ask the Knicks to make this decision on the first available date,
right? Exactly.
Because that team is going to be strangled. And what happens if they gotta wait those 2 days, and then, for example, they're going to trade a power forward, right? So Bobby Porter is not going to have place and room to play on that team. So the players are going to push the teams to make those decisions fast, so they can get a contract elsewhere. That's why the Knicks with the contracts that I said, they're going to be holding hostages those players, basically. So that's not going to be a good thing as long as as you're a GM, and it's not going to be quite fair for the players.
Right.
So
maybe I misunderstood, and maybe they're giving the teams the opportunity to trade these guys early before the draft, and then the free agency is directly after the draft.
And I mean, that could be, but the reason why I say it hurts the Knicks is because the Knicks may have wanted to use those. You can no longer use Bobby Portis and Elfrid Payton during the draft, to trade with somebody. So now I think what is going to happen, though, because it's still close together, I guess you can still trade some draft picks. It's just that maybe these trades happen before the draft, and then during the draft, it'll be people trading for, people drafting, like the Warriors might be drafting for whoever team. You see what I'm saying? Because they made these deals before the draft. But for players like Bobby Portis and those guys, their deals will be done. So the Knicks wouldn't really have that flexibility in the event that things went.
It's going to be like I said, the done deal. But Sim, it's possible for teams that aren't strangled on the draft, because let's look at teams like the Clippers, right? They traded their picks. So if they don't have a pick right now, but for example, if teams don't have the 2021 pick, right? Mm-hmm. You can trade consecutive year first round picks. So if someone has that pick in the future, the 2021 draft already traded, so he will be only able to swap this pick first rounders, right? He can't trade it like away for a vet. He has to swap the pick. So that's a kind of blocking the couple of deals probably for. I know I'm nitpicking this, but we had a chance to talk it over with a bunch of guys, so we find every straw here. So
yeah, I guess look, we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. Next week is gonna be off the hook, man. Tony,
another loophole as far as trading the consecutive pick is actually drafting the player and signing them and trading the player, not the pick. You
have to do it fast, because if you draft a guy, you have in the earlier, not the future, just the before seasons, right? You could draft a player but sign him 3-4 weeks later. Now you would have to try them basically backstage just to make the trade, right? And if as far as free agents go, you can only do the sign and trades if you have the bird rights. If you don't have the bird rights, you have to sign the guy, like a new guy that wasn't playing for the Knicks. You can assign him. You have to wait the 60 or whatever days and then trade him. So I'm guessing in a shorter season, it's going to be 30 days, and then you're going to be able to sign him. So no, I think they're not going to. The player association is not going to move on that rule as well. So
yeah. So has there been a date set? Usually if you sign a player in July, you got to wait until December, whatever date in December, until they're tradable.
Yeah.
How is that going to work with free agency happening within the next week and a half? How is that going to work?
I think everything's going to be adjusted because of the early start date for the season. And so the moratorium, or whatever they call it, I think will probably be a lot shorter, because you're talking about basically, if they do keep it in December, I mean, the season starts 22 days or 21 days later, and then you got training camp and all that stuff. So I don't see how they allow that situation to happen. I think it'll probably be shorter, maybe a week or so. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have a moratorium, you would think that moratorium is probably gonna end sometime in January. I'm thinking. Obviously, it would be shorter, probably sometime in January. Crazy stuff happening, man. I'm looking forward to it. Just stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because we'll be busy. Make sure you jumping on the MBK Network on Sportscaster. Right, because people are going to be jumping on and giving you mad updates. You'll be able to find updates on 365 Knicks when we're not live like this. You'll be able to find all those updates on 365 Knicks. Now, 365 Knicks is just straight up streaming, so it's just streaming information. I might do some things on there to adjust it, so we got quicker information going around. Because right now I got, you guys don't want to. I don't know how many times you guys want to see me bust Isaiah. You know what I'm saying, but. And we're actually live on 365 Knicks right now too. We're on both channels. All right, Mark, what's going on with you, man? I see you see you covering up your little twisties and whatnot, doing your thing. What's going on, man?
Man, it's what it is, man. Just enjoying the day. Just enjoying the time with the fellas. Let's do it.
All right, no doubt. So let's talk about some potential moves then. All right, the first one I want to talk about. Let's talk about Jrue Holiday, right? Because there's rumors out there that there's a possibility that he might get traded from the New Orleans Pelicans. If he's on the trade market, do you pursue? I'm going to start with Tony. Start with you, Tony. If he's on the trade market, do you pursue it?
He's another one that was on my list. I would. I think it's a slim. I mean, it depends on what they promised him. You know what I mean? They may say we're gonna take care of you and send you to a contender. If that's the case, obviously we will be, not in the picture. But if it's about who has the best package per se, I think we could probably compete with anybody. The other thing comes down to, is it a long-term thing or short-term thing? But yeah, I'm a big fan of Jrue. I think he's obviously one of the best defenders. I think he's underrated actually in both aspects, defensively and offensively. And I know you're probably gonna get to it. Maybe we could entice him by bringing his brother and saying something where, I know you always wanted to play with your brother. So maybe that's a way in. But yeah, I'm a fan.
Okay. Mark, Jrue Holiday.
Let me be the ground.
Do you pursue, and what do you give up to get him?
It's David Griffin. He's gonna look for something. Like, that's a guy that's gonna try to get more.
They're all gonna look for something, bro.
He's gonna try to rip something out of a team for Jrue Holiday, man. Like, him coming here, you gotta understand something. There's other teams that have better packages than us that could trade for Jrue Holiday. I don't think that we're super enticing unless we're adding 2021 in the mix. I just think our players, since they just took Mitch and RJ off the trading block, like no one's getting those two. Knox and Frank don't got no leverage, got no points in the league like that. So this Jrue Holiday situation, man, that joint's gonna go left for me, man. I don't think we have the assets or we're gonna be able to get him. Period. That's just me.
Okay. All right. Andy, what do you think?
Well, as much as I love Jrue, I think he's probably top 5 of my kind of point guards that I would like from the NBA. I just don't see us having a chance to trade him unless we would throw like first round picks at the Pelicans. And I mean like 2 or 3, which I'm not willing to give up at this
2
point.
or 3. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, unless we want to trade like Frank, Dennis Smith Jr., Knox, and, like a haul of our young guys, right? If you would like to give him like Dennis Smith, you would have to attach like 2 or 3 picks. So, that's why the deal is probably no for me. And I'm guessing he's gonna, like Tony said, they're gonna take care of him and trade him to a team like, I don't know, the Nuggets, like, that were in the playoffs and easily could fit and stuff like that. So I'm guessing, a destination like the Nuggets would be perfect for Holiday.
Okay.
Hey, Sim, I got a question.
Yeah.
So this is kind of why I want free agency to start after, or this is why I kind of want free agency to start before the draft, because I mean, ideally, we need to know kind of what direction we're going to go with the point guards. I mean, right now we have a glut. We still have Creighton. We still have Smith. We still have Ntilikina. I mean, we've got Harper on a 2-way. I mean, we've got a lot of point guards on this team still. Now, whether they're good or not, we know that's, we don't have a lot of good point guards on this team. But I mean, I don't know. I don't want to trade for Holiday and give up a lot for him, because if we can get in the draft, let's just say hypothetically, let's say a Killian Hayes or a Carol Lewis falls, at 8 or whatever, and we like him enough, we take him. Why are we going to go sign Jrue Holiday, who's 30 years old, right? Is he 30?
I'm not exactly sure of his age, but somewhere around there.
I'm going to.
Okay, 30 years old. Okay, fine. You pay a lot of money. You're going to take a big contract. You're going to pay Jrue Holiday $30 million, whatever is demanding. He's at 30, so he's on the
Jrue
decline.
Holiday, he makes 26. He made $26 million in 2019, 2020. Forget that. We're in 2020, 2021 now. He makes $26.1 million in 2020, 2021. Then there's a player option in 2021, 22 for $27 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so the numbers aren't totally bad, but here's the thing people need to understand about this cap coming up. A lot of NBA teams took a lot of losses in revenue, and the cap will drop. And the Knicks have got to be smart on who they pay their players, what kind of contracts they give them, because the cap is not going to be as high as it is now. It's going to drop a lot because a lot of owners lost a lot of revenue because of COVID, because there was no one in the stands. And they're probably going to lose more revenue because there's not going to be fans in the stands. And if there is, it's a very small percentage.
And what is the league?
So, I mean, we have to be smart on our signings. And I don't want to take on a huge contract like that. Just like I don't want to take on Brody. I don't want to take on John Wall. I mean, they're pipe dreams. They would make this team better. But we got to be careful because we got to spend our money smart.
So, Sam, what is the league's cap right now?
What is what?
The league's cap, because 109 is stopping that. It's not going lower than that. With starting December,
staying at 109.
109 is where it was.
Okay, so
right. So it's going to stay there at 109, and they're going to do this whole escrow thing, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to escrow players'
Where's the next
salaries.
collective bargaining agreement?
18%.
Right. They're going to escrow the players' salaries until, however they're going to do it or something like that. I don't know all of the details, but go ahead, Mark.
Jim, it's not that we wouldn't want Jrue Hill. We're in a position where
Jrue Holiday, not Jrue Hill,
My bad.
Yeah, Jrue Hill. You brought us back to Jrue Hill. All right, cool.
My bad. But we're trying to obtain at a low cost at the same time with this team in the predicament we at. So we don't want to bring in a player like that and have to give up more.
Right.
You understand?
Exactly.
Why would we do that when we want to keep whatever we got and see whatever those players could turn into for the next year, and in due time, whatever that player or those players turn into, we can move forward with them. Just because if save, the Chris Paul thing happened, besides Jrue Holiday thing happened, Frank and Knox really we went up another level as a team. Remember, we're going to have those players on a low cost. So those players won't cost us as much when their time is to sign. You understand? So we have to, when we talk about Jrue Holiday, especially dealing with David Griffin, he's looking to salvage, man. Like that dude, he wheels and deals, man. So that Jrue Holiday situation, we can't be in play for that. He's a good player, but we can't be in play for that. Cannot be in play for that, especially if we want to keep our assets.
So just real quick, as we're talking about Jrue Holiday, we're talking about moves that we can make. All right, so let me read this for you. For the first time since February the 6th, teams will be allowed to make trades just before the November 20th draft. All right, so that date, the draft is November the 18th, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is CBS that I'm reading it from, so they got that date wrong. It says official dates have not been released, but the moratorium is expected to be lifted by November the 16th. And player movement will accelerate with free agency, which could start as soon as November the 19th.
Okay.
If it actually starts... Hold on. It says if it actually starts just one day after the draft, this feels cool to front office people, blah, 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 blah. That's somebody's opinion. It says roughly a third of the players in the league will be looking for new contracts, and many will be scrambling to find a team before the money dries up. This has the potential to be wild, and in a repeat of the lockout shortened 2011 season, there could be a significant number of free agents joining teams mid-camp. Yeah, that's a good point. Joining teams mid-camp, right? So you're talking December the 12th, and now you're picking up a free agent, because of the way that free agency is so short. Everything is so truncated.
That's why the NBA Player Association wants it to go sooner. Every day is important for those guys.
Why did the NBA Players Association decide to do it sooner? I thought they would push to have it go more in January.
Well, they decided
that seemed more advantageous
because they need money. It's more advantageous to do it now, since you're not going to have people in the stands in January either. The whole purpose on pushing it back was to try to have people in the stands. You're not going to have people in the stands in January, so you might as well go ahead and start as soon as possible so you can get TV revenue.
And on top of that, they want to start back at the regular NBA starting in October, and plus the Olympics, and these players want to play in the Olympics this year, so they have to play before the January.
Yeah. So here you go. So here you go. We were asking about the salary cap.
Yeah.
All right. So let me read this to you. Negotiations on amending the collective bargaining agreement are not expected to finish until next week, per ESPN. Essentially, every team needs to know exactly what the salary cap is, as that will determine the amount of money it can spend on free agents, the exceptions it has to access to, how far away it is from the luxury tax, all that exhilarating stuff. So that was a little bit confusing the way that they just said it. All right. Basically, all you need to get from that is every team needs to know exactly what the salary cap is. All right. By the normal formula, which is calculated based on the league's basketball-related income, the salary cap would fall from 109 to around 90 million. That's normally if they didn't come up with some way to mitigate the loss of revenue. All right, so here we go. To avoid punishing this year's free agent class and pushing all but a few teams into the luxury tax, the league and the union will agree to artificially inflate that number and hold a higher than normal percentage of players' salaries in escrow. According to The Athletic, the cap number is expected to remain at 109 million and rise by a minimum of 2% each year until the CBA expires. The Athletic also reported that the NBA and the NBPA have discussed putting 17 to 18% of players' salaries in escrow for the next 2 seasons, rather than withholding money for just one season. So that's basically, the way it's going to look. So basically, players are going to get a little bit less. They might still have a contract, but for this season, they'll get less. You understand? So if you sign a contract, look, if someone signed me in the NBA, they probably signed me for $10. Okay, $10 for that year. They might only give me 6 or 18%. They might give me 8.
So,
right, and then I'll get the rest of that too later on in subsequent seasons to make up for this year. So players will get less money this year. They'll make it up. They'll get it next year. The money goes in escrow. They get the money next year. Probably if they put the money in escrow, they probably put it in some account where they can accrue interest. This, that, and the other thing. Boom, right? The NBA can get some money off that interest, so on and so forth.
So Sim, something to consider too is if that's the case and players are going to make less this year, I'm assuming that's going to be with free agency too. So I think honestly, I could see a situation where a lot of these players that are up for free agency or restricted could actually stay with the teams they have because they can make more with the team, their current team, than when they could get paid somewhere else.
Well, I mean, that's under the normal circumstances that can happen anyway.
But in this circumstances with COVID and everything, and the way the structure, the pay structure is going to go this year because of this unusual situation, I could see players actually just staying more so with the teams they have if they can make more money because not wanting to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Because they want that safety net. They want that extra money just because if it does go lockdown again, hey, they got that extra money in the bank.
Understood.
But there's only 4 teams with a cap space. So, and there's not many big time players in this free agency to even pay at the end of the day. We're talking about more like role players, Fred VanVleet,
right,
Christian,
right.
Guys like that.
So let me ask you this. How much though? I hear what Nate's saying about, some players might just choose not to even mess around with free agency. I don't think so. I think that they will choose because with the way things are, like things might be a little crazy and a little bit wild. And when you got things out of control, that is the prime time for you to capitalize on stuff, right? When things are crazy and out of control, that's when a player can be like, okay, we're going to capitalize on what's going on out here because things are a little bit crazy.
You can do it with it.
Right? So you may have the ability, teams may have the ability to negotiate and play around with that salary a little bit more because of the way things are to make you fit inside there. Like they may say, listen, they may say, I might say to Mark, look, we're going to sign you for $100 million. Obviously, we can't give you all that $100 million this year, but you already got to put 18% in escrow. Would you agree if the NBPA, if they allow it, if it's allowed to do this, hey, why don't you just go ahead and put 40% of your salary in escrow? That allows you to sign us, and then we can make it up later.
For example,
you see what I'm saying? So it may provide some more negotiating power for teams.
Yeah. So for example, say like Montrezl Harrell, right? He was supposed, people thought he was supposed to get paid 70 plus this coming year, but due to his slow comings in the playoffs. So say if the Clippers want to trade him to say get Jrue Holiday or something like that. So the only way players like that would get their money would be like in sign and trade. So he will go to New Orleans. It'll be like a 3-year, $45 million deal. That's ways of guys like that that will get paid. Or like Ibaka. Ibaka is with Toronto. Toronto could say to them, listen, I'm gonna inflate your contract this year for you to stay this year, because if Ibaka leaves Toronto, he's only gonna get vet minimum. He's not gonna get paid like he would get paid in Toronto. So teams teams that have their players, they're more in gear to give their players more compared to them wandering out and trying to get more, because
they're going to have more leverage in the negotiations.
It's not even that. It's only 4 teams with enormous salary cap, and that's why the Knicks are in prime position to wheel and deal and squeeze picks or assets out of teams that don't want big contracts. That's
like who? Like who?
Who?
Like who?
Washington.
Like okay, so
Washington.
So Philly want to get rid of Horford. There's a trade. The Knicks will give back expiring contracts. They'll give us Horford and 2 first-round picks. They'll give us the Oklahoma City 2020 this year. I think it's the 19th or the 21st pick, and 2021 first-round pick to take Horford while we give them expiring contracts. And if I get 2 first-round picks and still a high IQ 4-man, I'll take that for 2 years because this contract isn't bad. Because it's third year, he's only guaranteeing $14 million. So it ain't that bad to me if I'm getting assets back because we're in play to get assets back. That's what we're trying to do right now.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to do.
All right. So,
and especially
Andy,
in this.
hold up, Nate. Go ahead, Andy.
I just want to ask you guys, how do you guys think it's going to work? Because I'm pretty sure it's not going to be able, the players and the team are not going to be able to work out the deal like Sim said earlier, like put over 18%. I'm guessing, like, for example, Bobby Portis gets cut, right? Let's say the Phoenix Suns want to sign him, right? And he says, okay, I'm going to want a deal for 10 million, right? And for the Suns, it's going to be 10 million as a cap hit, but they're going to pay him only 8.2 million, and the 18% is they're going to be paying him, I don't know, in a year or 2 or whatever, right? But I'm guessing because of the salary cap staying at 109, they're gonna sign contracts. The number like they would be paid, that they will be getting paid like a normal salary cap at 109. They're not going to be, for example, Bobby, you're not worth the 8 million even. You're going to sign for 5.5, right? And then they're going to cut the 18% from that 5.5.
Yeah,
right.
Once they get signed in, they take the money out of. They take the money
exactly.
out.
So I'm guessing
exactly.
the players are going to be okay. Just give me 15 because they're going to pay me 12.
Yeah, but it depends on your market.
I mean, it all depends on your market. The thing is, you're still going to make. Right. So, but if your market says that you make $100 million over 4 years, you're still going to get $100 million over 4 years.
Yeah,
but in year one, you're going to get less money.
Yeah, just 18% less for that first year, but you're going to be paid in the future, right? So I just wanted to get that, clear. So we don't attack, players like, oh my God, he's not worth like the 15 million or 10 or whatever, right? Yeah. Because, he's going to have to get that paid in the future, but for this year, he's going to get only paid like the 80% less.
Yeah. So hold up, Mark. Yeah. So I see BTS Dance Studio. You said Leon is a genius. Cash is nothing for the Knicks. Cash is something for everybody because it's a salary cap. So this is something for everybody. People always say that about the Knicks and they say it about LA and all these teams, but when you have a salary cap, then the money means something because you can only spend a certain amount of money. I think what it's gonna come down to is our team's going to be able to negotiate. They have to do at least 18% in escrow. Can they do more? And if they can do more in escrow that first year, I don't know how it's going to affect subsequent years because it said that each year the salary cap will go up a certain percentage to make sure that you can pay players. Are you able to play around with that percentage that you put into escrow or not? And is there a limit?
That 18.5% is for 2 years.
For 2 years.
Initially, it was
2 years.
For 1, and they switched it to 18 point whatever for 2.
Yeah. So
that's why the players signed off on and say, "Yo, let's go," because you're giving us 18% compared to what it could have been.
Yeah, so it's a good question to see, are they going to be able to play around with that percentage that they put in the escrow? You know what I'm saying? And if they do, there may be some teams that fit into the salary cap very well this year, but then when you get into year 3, what is it, 2020, 2021, you get into years 22, 23, there may be some teams struggling with the cap a little bit because they said, well, we're going to pay you a little bit less this year, but we're going to pay you more in years 3 and 4. So we'll see how this thing ends up.
Not necessarily because, say if Gordon Hayward get a sign and trade with the Atlanta Hawks, right? Mm-hmm. It would be like a 3-year let's say, $80 to $100 million deal. Because the Hawks have the money to do that, remember, they're only doing it for this season to salvage for next season. That's the only reason why they're doing it, because it's for this season. It's for this season. No, it's for next season. So players get back on schedule, so the salary cap can have a chance of going back up again. So that's why this year is just it's particular in that case. But I think they will continue to get their record split salary the next year. So
well, it's the next two seasons. It's the next two seasons. 17 to 18% for the next two seasons. So that's this season, 2020, 2021, and then 2021, 2022.
Oh, but as long as the players know that it's in escrow, they have to get.
Well, yeah, we understand that. We understand that. I'm just saying, if the teams have the flexibility to play around with that escrow amount, with that percentage, you know, like they may say you have to do 18%, but you can do as much as 25% or 30%. You know, so that'll give teams more flexibility to sign players, and then how will that impact them in 2022, 2022, 2023. So you know, we'll see, because
money doesn't count against your salary that year. It does.
Yes, I think it counts against your salary for that year, because that's the reason why they're raising. They're definitely going to raise the salary cap a minimum 2% each year.
Okay. So it's good. Yeah. So a Gordon Hayward contract at 30 plus is going to count against the cap each year. But after they sign that deal, that's when they take the escrow money out of it. Them taking the escrow money.
Of course, you got to sign a deal, and then you know how much money comes out of it. All right. So you know, how does this all pertain to the New York Knicks? Since this is a Knicks show, pertains to the Knicks. One, because they got a lot of money that they can spend. Hold up. Right, they got a lot of money that they can spend. They should have a lot of money that they can spend, but they gotta understand what they're doing with the cap. And Nate, I don't know why you keep coming in and off the video or something, man. You need to get a picture up there. So I know you're checking your text or whatever it is, but it's messing up the show. It's distracting me.
Sorry, man.
But their capologist has got to be able to be smart, right? Understand how to work this cap. You got to be there. You got to be present as all of this stuff is going on, so that they understand how to work the cap, so that they can have this. Like Mark said, there's only a few teams that have money. There's not a lot of players on the market. Not a lot of players on the market, but there could be some things. There could be some things moving.
It's going to be signing trade and three-way trade deals for teams that want to get rid of players, and to add to their team, for another team to get that player to add to their team. But like a team like the Hawks, us, Detroit, we could take bad contracts and sign whoever's out there for whatever the owners want to sign that player for. So like Christian Wood, Detroit can sign him. People got to forget that. Remember that Detroit can sign him to a 12 to 15 because they got the money. They got the money.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I get it. Yeah. So let's talk about some players. We talked about Jrue Holiday, right? Yeah. We know how this is going to impact the Knicks. All right, they'll be able to. They're still going to have their $40 to $50 million in salary cap space. So how are they going to use that $40 to $50 million? We'll see, right? Are they going to trade into that cap space? We'll see. Are they going to sign players like Justin Holiday? Right? That could be,
that'd be cool.
You know, that could be a low-rate role player that we once had in our grasp. He was once a New York Knick.
I'm good with that.
Right? Are they going to do something like that? Are they going to try to get Davis Bertans? Are they going to go after
shooters?
Are they going to go after, are they going to, who knows what the Knicks might do? But let's talk about Justin Holiday. Andy, would you go after Justin Holiday? You're not going to pay him big money, but would you go after Justin Holiday?
Well, if you're asking me personally, if I had to choose between him and, for example, Mo Harkless, I think I would go with Harkless. But I'm guessing Mo doesn't have his head in New York, so he's gonna pass on the Knicks. He's not on top of my list. I think I could find someone better, or at least play the young guys, right? Because if we're going to sign Holiday, I'm guessing he's going to cut into Knox minutes, maybe Frank's minutes a little bit. So, if this is the season that we want, to give him some minutes to Knox, and we're going to sign guys like Holiday and keep Bullock and whatever, it's going to be cutting into the development of Kevin. And if we are already, thinking about getting, Knox traded, then you have to replace him, right?
So my only thing is we only got 7 players. We truly only got 7 players going into the season.
Yeah. But
right. So you got to fill out. So you got to fill out the team with some players.
Yeah, but imagine you got 7 players, right? That's with Iggy and Knox. So you got the small forward position covered. Not to mention that we were talking about RJ playing the 3, right? I'm guessing Justin Holiday is not going to be playing the power forward position. He's too skinny for that. So I'm guessing he can play the 2 or the 3, right?
Right.
If we're going to have 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick, I'm guessing we're going to trade and get 1 more pick. So that's 4 more players, right? I'm guessing also that we're going to need to sign a vet, because I don't see Tibbs having like 8 rookies on the team. So,
right.
I'm guessing we're gonna have to fill some, positions with vets. Though is Justin Holiday, a vet that Kevin Knox or a rookie now is going to look up to? I don't think he has
probably
that stature,
not.
right?
He probably
But he
not.
feels a need. But he feels a need at the 3 position. We need defensive.
He's more.
He's
6'6", 180. He's 6'6", 180 pounds. He's a shooting guard. Like he's a straight up shooting guard. He's thin, lanky. He can He can come off screens. Do all the things. He's a straight up shooting guard. Shoots 36%. He shoots 36% from the 3 for his career. He shot 40.5% from 3 last season. Right?
Look, you got RJ, you got Reggie Bullock, and you got I'm guessing Ellington is gone, right? So you got RJ, Reggie Bullock, and you're gonna have Justin Holiday. So that's 3. I'm guessing
you could take Bullock out and replace him with Holiday.
You could, right? But is that a wise thing? Bullock is for really cheap. I think Holiday is going to command more money than Bullock even.
But even if he don't command money, why would I get rid of Bullock?
Yeah, that's I would stay with Bullock over
because you have a glut of small forwards, like you just said, Andy. You said you have Knox, you have Iggy.
Hold on, one at a time.
You get Holiday. And you got Bullock. You got one thing about the Knicks right now. If you look at our roster, we doubled down on a lot of positions. We have so much glut at the point guard. We have so much glut with the bigs. We have so much glut in the small forwards. We have a lot of players that play the same position. And the problem is that, like Sim said, we have 7 players actively on our roster. We have to get more players because we know that Tibbs is one of those guys that has been acclaimed about running, very small rotations. But still, you want to have that depth because you just don't know what's going to happen. I'm telling you, with this whole COVID thing, I hope these players are in shape, because if it's anything like football, you saw a lot of lower leg injuries in the first couple of games.
Well,
NBA, you run a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, that's because of football. They didn't have a training camp. That's a whole nother thing. They had a training camp. They didn't have any preseason games. Barely had a training camp. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Like Mark X, why would you? I don't know what Justin Holiday. Hold up. I don't know what Justin Holiday is going to demand on the market. All right, Reggie Bullock. Right now, you're paying him $4 million a year. He's a little bit younger than Justin Holiday. He's 28. Justin Holiday is 31. Overall shooting percentages, if you're talking about from 3, Justin Holiday is a better shooter than Reggie Bullock. All right, Reggie Bullock shot 33% from the field last year, from 3 last year. Reggie Bullock shot 33% last season. Justin Holiday shot 40%. That's a huge difference in the NBA.
Yeah, but right. I'm guessing Reggie had, he shot off because of the injury.
I don't know, because in 2018, 2019, for LA, he shot 34%. He also played for Detroit. He shot 38% while he was in Detroit. So a total for 2018, 2019, he shot 37%. He did have a couple of years where he shot 40%. You know, I mean,
Bro, he has the capability. This was down here.
I don't know.
Who's a better defender, Sim?
Who's the better defender? I'm not sure. They're both pretty decent defenders.
I'm taking
one is skinny, you know. One is
that's the one thing. That's one thing right there. Reggie Bullock has a lot more. You know, Reggie Bullock weighs 205. Justin Holiday weighs 180. That's a big difference right there.
Yeah. So
Tony, what do you think, man?
If it gets me Jrue, I'm down. If the price, because he's the kind of guy, he's not going to care whether he starts or comes off the bench. I'll say that he's a ultimate team guy, no ego. You know what I mean? He's been around the block already, so good teammate. I really got nothing bad to say about him. I don't think he really hinders the roster per se. He could play probably the 2 or 3. I think ultimately Knox is going to be a 4 anyway.
Better get better defensives.
Say that again?
You better get better defensively if he's going to play the 4.
Well, he got to get better defensively.
Regardless, he's got. But you know what though? Just like it's kind of like the thing with Melo. Melo played better defense on 4s because they're a little slower than he played defense on 3s. Knox is not going to defend 3s in the NBA long term. I'm sorry, he's not. You know, he doesn't have that type of body, but he'll defend 4s a little bit better. He's going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger. They're still going to play on the perimeter, but maybe less on the perimeter than 3s are going to play on the perimeter. So I think he'll do a better job I'll just say a better job defending 4s than he'll do defending 3s. He's got to get better regardless. You know what I mean?
Stronger, and he'd be all right.
Yeah.
Do you think that coach we brought on that Coach Knox? Do you think he's going to make a difference?
Yes, I think he's going to make a difference. I think he's going to make a difference with everybody that's on the team. Especially the young players, because he's coming from college. Kenny Payne is coming from college. You're going to have a lot of young players on the team. I think he's going to be able to tap right into their thinking and how you work with a young player. Very smart pickup. Justin Holiday last year made $4.7 million. He's a straight up free agent in 2020, 2021. I would think he's probably going to get around the same wherever he signs to. So
yeah, but so the Knicks have
he's a 3-and-D player.
Contracts?
What'd you say, Mark?
The Knicks have 8 expiring contracts.
The Knicks. So when you go to the Knicks roster, right? When you look at the Knicks roster, I tell you who's definitely going to be on the roster. All right, as of right now, you got Julius Randle.
1.
Bobby Portis should be waived. Mo Harkless is probably not coming back. I really wanted to bring Mo Harkless back, but he's probably not coming back. Okay? Taj Gibson will probably be waived and then signed back. Right? So right now you're looking at Julius Randle. I'm not even going to include Taj Gibson right now.
Yeah,
Wayne Ellington, waived. Elfrid Payton is probably going to be waived. Okay? So you got R.J. Barrett.
Knox,
Frank Ntilikina. Dennis Smith Jr. Kevin Knox. Reggie Bullock is still under contract. Mitchell Robinson. Right? And then you got Ignaz Brazdeikis. So, counting it, Julius Randle 1,
8.
R.J. Barrett 2. You said 8?
Yeah.
Frank Ntilikina, Dennis Smith Jr., Kevin Knox, Reggie Bullock, Mitchell Robinson, Ignaz Brazdeikis. Right. So you got 8 players. Then you got 2 guys, Jared Harper and Kenny Wooten, who are on 2-way contracts playing in the G League.
What about Dotson? He's a free agent, right?
Dotson is a free agent.
He's
right.
gone,
you got Theo Pinson on the team. There's a team option for Theo Pinson. I'm thinking he's probably going to get traded.
Getting like dude up out of here, man. I don't got time for no getting like dude up in here, man.
I'm not sure if dancers count versus the salary cap, though.
You know what? But look, you know, people. You know, no. Listen, no. What you mean don't do it? Hold up. And people front, including me. Of course, he's a role player. I mean. Most of the players in the NBA are role players, bro. What are you talking about?
Pinson's garbage.
All right, but hold up. Like, okay, we know what his stats were last year. And we know where he shot from 3 last year and all of that, okay? And if you want me to go into it, I'll go into it real quick. I see Mark turning away. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
All right. Theo Pinson. He averaged 3.6 points per game. He only played 11.7 minutes. Do I gotta say his numbers?
No. We know he sucks.
I'm not gonna. But hold up. Let me just go ahead. He shot 29% from 3 from the field. Shot 29%. He shot 18% from 3.
You might be using a trade.
Okay, but hold up.
He shot better shooter than him.
He shot 94% from the free throw line. Okay, 94% from the 3-point free throw line. But his G League numbers.
Oh God.
Oh
Go ahead.
Lord.
All right, I gotta look up his G League numbers. But he shot. Let's put it like this. He shot 33, 34, 35% from 3 in the G League. Different player in the G League altogether.
Yeah, because the competition.
Then you gotta add that those NBA stats are like Guillermo says, garbaggio time stats, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the salary?
He couldn't even do well in garbage time.
I mean, he was doing his thing. He was doing his thing in the G League, though. I'm not gonna front. Yeah. He's 24 years old. He can play defense. Yeah. And I'm not saying that this guy is going to end up being, oh my gosh, this guy is about to, break out and average 10 points a year, 10 points a game, shooting 40% from 3. But he can shoot the 3. Maybe he shot 18% in the NBA, played 33 games, right? He played for 11 minutes.
And he's playing for Brooklyn too. So
all right, he's playing for Brooklyn. Okay.
What's his position?
Hold up, let me finish. And maybe he's just gonna be a straight up klutz and be wherever he is. You know what I'm saying?
What's his salary cap, Tim?
Huh?
What's his salary cap? Because I think they're gonna use him in a trade too.
He makes 1.7 million. He makes 1.7 million.
And we gonna trade for that guy.
All right, the Knicks they didn't trade for him. The Knicks picked him up off of waivers. You can throw him into a trade, right? The reason why they picked him up off of waivers, they waived Alonzo Trier. Then they picked him up off of waivers because the Brooklyn Nets waived him. But by picking him up, because they have a team option for him, there was no team option for Alonzo Trier, so they couldn't trade him. They couldn't trade him. There was no team option, so he was untradeable. This guy, they picked him up. He's tradable, so you can throw that $1.7 million into a contract. All right.
He has purpose.
All right, so he'll have that purpose. But if he ends up, if they end up picking up his option,
oh Lord, help us.
Who knows? I'm gonna look up his G League numbers for last year. But
I think the Knicks gonna pick up people's to trade them. I think a lot of guys gonna just get traded. So we're gonna take back some contracts.
I'm gonna take that guy.
Sim, if you're gonna be on the G League numbers, watch Ignaz's numbers.
Yeah,
we can compare those two.
Yeah, so in the G League, he shot 37% from 3. Same side, same distance 3-point line.
How many attempts? All
right.
I want to attempt.
He was 20 for 53 from the 3-point line. 53 attempts. He played 9 games in the G League. Right? Played 9 games and he took 53 attempts.
So that's about like
minutes to the average.
All right, that's about he averaged he played 288 minutes. Hold on, let me see the average. He averaged 32 minutes.
No, that's not bad.
Is
all right, shot 37% from 3. He shot 42% from the field. He averaged 15 points in the G League, 5 assists, and 7 rebounds per game in the G League.
Not bad. And he's under the direct tutelage of Chris Paul.
Stop it.
So
Tony. Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying, he played. I think he's like a 3.
With more minutes, he played better.
Right, with more minutes, he played better. Now, obviously, he was in the G League. But if you can shoot 37, 38% from the three-point line in the G League, it's possible you could shoot it from that, in the NBA, because the three-point line, the distance from the three-point line doesn't change.
I just want to know where this mix is going to be on this team, because if we're going to see him on the court and I see like Knox or Frank on the court, people going to be like, yo, why is this dude on the court? Yo, listen, man. His purpose is to get traded.
Hey, Sim, I got a question for you.
I'm about to do a highlight tape for Theo Pinson just for Mark.
Low lights. Hey, Sim, I got a question.
In the chat said Pinson with a question mark. It's a joke.
Pinson is 25 years old. He's 25 years old, 6'5", 212 pounds. He can play defense. Go ahead, Nate.
So where do you see, because I'm kind of curious, and I think a lot of Knicks fans are curious about this too. Where do you see Iggy and Wooten on this roster? What do you think that do you think that they can make the active, well, Iggy's on the active roster, but do you think Wooten could make the active roster? Because right now he's a two-way.
Me personally, I'm not sure about Wooten. We'll see what happens with Iggy. I'm not sure about Wooten, though.
Because we don't have any bigs really right now.
But Wooten's not a real big, bro. He's not a real big. People always say that. He's not a real big. He blocks shots because he can jump really high. And so he blocks shots. You know what I'm saying? But if he's 6'8", skinny like Justin Holiday.
Come on, man.
You know what I'm saying? So he's not a big that's going to be down low.
He's kind of like a Nerlens Noel.
Bro, he's 6'8". He is the size of a small forward.
But his wingspan is what
that's
saying.
Great. Wingspan. And everyone keeps talking about teams that want to play small, this, that, and the other thing, right? Take a look at what the Lakers did in the playoffs. The Lakers were able to take Anthony Davis, and put him on Jimmy Butler. Anthony Davis is 7 foot, bro, and he was playing defense on Jimmy Butler. Okay, and they still had size. You can say size doesn't mean the same thing in the NBA all you want. You're lying. You're out of your flipping mind if that's what you think. Size still means something in the NBA.
Yeah.
It still means something.
But he would make a good small ball 4 or a 5 because
listen.
Tucker played at 6'7". I get Tucker was bigger, but he played at 6'7".
And they got their ass bust. They got their ass bust by the Los Angeles Lakers because they were too small.
Well, how many teams have 3 7-footers on their team? That's usually you never really see that.
Sim, I'd rather keep Julius Randle than even have Tony Roten coming up to play for the Knicks. Let's end this conversation with Tony Roten. Like he's going to do something.
It's Tony Roten, dude.
Who's Tony Roten?
It's Kenny Wooten. He's thinking of that point guard that we took a while back, Tony Wooten.
The only way he plays is everybody get injured. That's the only way he playing.
Someone said Anthony Davis is like 6'10", 6'11", so maybe he's not 7 foot. He's like 6'10", 6'11". He's not 6'8", 6'9". Big difference.
Hey, Sim, but the Knicks see something in him if they put him on a two-way. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
I'm going to tell you why the Knicks put him on a two-way. The Knicks put him on a two-way because there was straight trash last year, and he was making noise with all these blocks on ESPN and all of this and all of that. And all the fans were like, hey, we better put him on the team before somebody else does. And so they made that move. Listen, he's okay. He might be okay someplace, but
he's a real good defender.
He's got some things he's got some things he's got to do if he's going to make it in the NBA as far as I'm concerned.
What about Iggy? What's Iggy's role on this team?
I don't know. It depends on if Iggy is going to be able to defend threes.
Yeah, he can't.
That's going to be that.
His footwork don't allow him to defend threes. If you watch his footwork, he can't defend the three. It's the same thing with Knox. Yeah. Footwork. You got to look at
that'd be barbecue chicken if anybody goes against him.
So it's that's the thing about that's. Listen, to me, I can't see. You need some beef, man. I can't see being Mitchell Robinson and Kenny Wooten as your starting center and your backup center.
Like, do people understand we got to deal with Joel Embiid in the East? Guys like that. Like, I'm putting 6'7" guy on Joel Embiid at my center spot.
Hey,
Come
you might
on,
not be in
I'm not worried
Philadelphia.
about Mitchell Robinson guarding those guys.
You need some you need some beef, man. you need some beef down there.
Only us
What's for
talk about
dinner?
these lower class
I mean,
plays.
let's talk about. I seen Andy put a trade in our group chat.
What you put, Andy?
Right, the Mike Scott
yeah.
trade. Andy, do you have that? Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Oh yeah, that's what I asked you. Said,
Talk to us about that, Andy.
Yeah, there's a rumor that the Philadelphia 76ers want to get rid of Mike Scott and their second round pick in this year's draft, which would be the 49th pick. To the Knicks, basically for the cash considerations, because Daryl Morey is looking to make space for a trade. And you know how rumors are going to be. He's going to be looking for, James Harden or wherever, right? Or Buddy Hield. They were mentioning Buddy Hield, but and this is what me and Mark said like a couple of days ago, that Hield would fit with the 76ers.
Perfect. I think it'll be the Horford swap with them.
Okay, so Mike Scott. I mean, Mike Scott, he made $4.7 million last year. He'll make $5 million going into, for the 2020-2021 season.
He's a Knicks
He's
killer.
A beefy guy, and he's an enforcer.
He's a Knicks
enforcer, stretch four. He can make the three, and he can bully a couple of guys, under the basket, right? So
yeah,
I just don't like him. Yeah.
And Sim, remember, he scorched us when he was on the Wizards. Every time Mike Scott came, he always killed them.
But isn't he another guy that's, we were talking about Justin Holiday being a duplicate, getting in the way of Kevin Knox. Isn't he the same thing?
That's the difference. We get an asset. We get a second round pick to take in. We just signed up Jrue Holiday straight up. I'm getting two things for one.
No. We were talking about Justin. Well, okay. I understand what you're saying there. I get that. That would make more sense.
Technicals.
Yeah, if it was just Mike Scott, I'd be like, no. Why would I doing that? Why am I doing that?
He will lead our team in technicals.
I'm looking to take what teams don't want, and you have to give me something else with that. That's where the Knicks is at right now. It ain't we taking and not getting extra PC. Yeah. We need all that. So if they give me a second round pick, give it to me, because I could use that and go back up in this draft again. Beef up my chances getting back up in the early second round or the late first round. Give me all.
Me personally, I'd rather take Kyle O'Quinn off the 76ers.
Yeah, exactly. Bring back
than
O'Quinn.
Mike Scott. But if they want to give us Mike Scott and a second round pick or a future, draft pick, it doesn't have to be a first round. Let's not be.
Yeah, but that's going to require guys like that. It's not going to require a first round. It's going to require a second round.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's around $4 million. So.
Yeah, bring it on.
Here's a question for y'all. If Marketing became available for trade for the Bulls, would y'all take him?
Depends for who.
Depends on what.
Well, they just want to get rid of him or ship him off.
No, they don't just get rid of him.
They're not just going to get rid of him. They're going to,
I doubt they asked for a lot, but I'm just saying, like one of these deals where they want to get rid of this cap or this cap hit, and they want to just trade him.
Listen, the Bulls are in the same situation as us. As far as cap and picks and all that kind of stuff. So they're not just gonna, they're gonna be looking to make smart moves. They're not trying.
Marketing was Bulls, man. Marketing was used wrong. If y'all watched him, he was used wrong. They made him like a 15-footer shooter in Chicago, playing in the mid post. No, he's not that. He's an inside out guy. That's why they fired that coach. Because if you watch how he used those players, it was all out of place, and players didn't even respect him. Marketing's still a good player, man. That boy can still shoot. So I don't see Chicago giving him up like that. No.
Me either. I don't see it.
I don't see
it that way either. We'll see we'll see what's gonna happen moving forward. There's a lot of things that can happen going forward. It just with the Knicks, a lot of things that they can do. Who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen?
You know what's so crazy? Because me and Andy on Saturday, Sim, I wish he was there on Saturday, bro. Wish he was there on Saturday. We went down, we scoured the league and what could happen in this draft. We at this point, Sim, the way teams want to trade in and out, the way teams don't want this player, want that player, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I really don't know.
Nobody does. Nobody knows what's going to happen. It's going to be the wild, wild west for sure. I'm telling you, it's going to be the wild, wild west.
But then, guess what's happening now? Okongo could be going 3 because Charlotte won Wiseman, but he could go 1 or 2. But Charlotte's looking for a big. Charlotte could either trade up with the Wolves and take Wiseman. But if they don't get him, they take Okongo. So, like, a lot of the guys that will go top 3, people can move up. People can fall in this draft, man. Because teams want what they want, not because that play might be the best. It's more about what they want. And when you look at this draft, it's about what you want. That's how I'm looking at it.
Well, we'll see what look. I mean, first and foremost, the Knicks got to just go ahead and get themselves a point guard. However they're going to do it, I think that's going to be the first thing that they tackle. Whether it is free agency or through trade, I think that's going to be their primary objective, in my opinion. I think it's to bring in a point guard, and then everything is going to flow off of that.
Hey, we got number 11. I seen a trade. They mocked up one of the NBA cap guys. The OKC one is just cap fillers and Dennis Smith Jr., bro. That's it.
Yeah,
and you know
that was the trade proposed on the jump.
Yeah,
where we saw Fizz with his new haircut as well.
Yeah, Sim, I would do that, and I would try to trade. I would try to trade up and go get LaMelo Ball, and let's go.
No.
Well,
I can have
listen.
Chris
This is
Paul.
what we're gonna do. Ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna finish this show on Sportscaster. All right, so make sure you come on over to Sportscaster. I'm putting the link in the chat right now. And I do want to remind you that at 7 o'clock, we're going to be on Sportscaster for another 30 minutes or so. Then at 7 o'clock, we're going to do the little jump off episode, Cooking with Zay. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that goes. You know what I mean? But make sure you join us on Sport. Well, I don't know what he's cooking today, but I know he's cooking some kind of smash burger on Wednesday. Today is going to be the little kickoff. We're going to talk some Knicks. And then we're going to do the little,
He going to have an apron on? He better not have no apron on.
I don't know what he's going to have on. You know what I'm saying? But, I don't know what he's going to have on. Just as long as he got some clothes on. That's all I'm worried about.
Word, right?
As long as he got clothes on, I'm good.
Try to be greased up.
You know what I mean?
Have ketchup and mustard around his face, bro.
I thought he was on a diet. What happened to that?
But I just put the link in the YouTube chat. I'm also putting it in the description of this video. We're gonna go over. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna run down, get some NBA updates. We're gonna talk about a few more rumors that could impact the New York Knicks. So you're gonna want to come over there and check it out.
Yo, come through, man.
All right, so come on over. And at the top of this video, you can go into the 365 Knicks. You can go in there after this show if you want. If you don't want to go to Sportscast, go to 365 Knicks. At this point, it is, right now it's showing us. But as soon as I get off of here, it's going to be showing the second mock big board that we did for the draft. All right, so you can go over there and check out the second mock big board. Next Tuesday night, we're going to do another mock big board for the Knicks and, who we're drafting. So you can head on over to 365 Knicks and check that out, ladies and gentlemen. All right. YouTube.
Next week. It's overtime next week, Andy. So you gear yourself up.
YouTube, I appreciate you guys, but I'm heading off. Again, the link to Sportscaster is in the description. It's also in the YouTube chat. And you can go to 365. As a matter of fact, let me put that link over there just in case you'd rather go check out the mock big board. All right, I'll put that link in the chat so you can go check that out as well.
And Sim, Ernesto need to be from these strings after what he said the other night.
So right here is the 365 24/7 Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. You can go over there and check out again. It's going to be a mock big board. Some of you guys seen it. Some of you guys may not have seen it. It's a mock big board right now. Now, if you're checking out the replay of this, it's probably not going to be the mock big board. You'll have to go into the description and click on the timestamp, and then you'll find the mock big board. All right. Anyway, YouTube,